does life lead when it has made you a casualty? Hopefully, when you feel like a casualty, you look at the world and you also think about causality. You take yourself to your most simplest moment without needing to anything, and there begin to self-inquiry in a manner where you are not separating your world. You are wondering where the integration of possibility is going. And you're wondering if you are a certain experiencer and if another person is a certain experiencer, and we're all unique elements, as if we're unique colors thrown on this canvas of life. What are we here to shape? And where does such an intelligence come from? You see, to some degree, you need to give yourself a space in this reality to have an individual experience, but you also need to give yourself an ability to have a collective experience. Now, that is not very common because the individual cannot receive it individually. It is just an aspect of how you're experiencing life that is your transcendental knowing, and once it's activated, it's an intuitive flow, and what that means is you're no longer planning your day, but things are flowing very simply as if activities are seeds planted before and they're just sprouting. So what that means is just like how you look at the natural world and it's continuing, and you have went through the dirt of your past to come to such a present, you need to see that the seed has the intelligence of the design within it, but also just as how well the seed is made, the soil, the environment is made, and just like how well man is made, the world is also made to fit him, to allow him to grow, because he's a biological being. This kind of evolution and technology is a consciousness technology. It is not science-based, but science is the perfect technology for the physical plane of existence. For it seems that some beginnings don't want to go through an end to see a new beginning. What that means is every child can look at a caterpillar and understand how the human experience is transitioning and why a cocoon is necessary, why deep, still and silent existential observance to a sense of emptiness and being is important to then have a transformation in how your awareness is functioning. And it is not individual, so I'm speaking about it. Hopefully the new renaissances that will happen would be such vast, we will be just so fascinated by what human beings are doing in our communities that we will be inspired to become members of a better world. What that means is, in many social situations, I see people immediately flip like a pancake in regards to how they want to be in that social setting. So what that means is if the being has that immediate ability of change, he can immediately also change his mentality. So we just need to find the presence of a better world within us and within everything that we see, and then it will come to be. For it has been, for we are being it. And so it's a knowing that goes beyond a linear sense of understanding, and time no longer becomes how the finger, time and space no longer become the intelligences of how the finger is kept here, but how every finger is connected to the palm, and so again the experience of time and space change, and then the palm is connected to the arm, and again the experience of the thing changes, and then the whole body. If you see it, it's as if we are an intelligence within a greater intelligence within a greater intelligence, and we are arrogant to call it greater. It is not greater, it is us. It is a transcendental aspect of how vision is present in existence. And it's a beautiful thing. I think many poets should be inspired to talk about what life really is, because you have to be it to see it, and you are. And certain beings talk about there being ancient orders in the past. But do you know what was ancient for the order that has become the linearity of today? ancient chaos. What that means is once you look to the core, to the edge of thought, it is not that the Zen Master's cup has just come to the brim full, but it's that the next drops will constantly take your experience to newer dimensions outside of space and time. So what that means is, even though we have a sense of box analogy for space and time, we must make this box full with our sincere and natural expressions. So we need to just become aware that life is life. And in that, our ideologies shift because we are handling ourselves differently. Trust me, they had practices back then, and these practices, the reason it was important to practice, for example, even where meditation comes from, is that in practicing, you are realigning. You are shifting how your physiology was adapted to a certain setting of accepting reality. Do you see? So, it's that moment where perhaps you are driving, test trying a car at, let's say, your local BMW dealer, and it's that moment where you, as if coming into this reality, into this human form and sense of conscious awareness to ideology, we can see that it's as if we are driving a bit longer than usual in the car we are meant to test drive from the BMW store. And the dealer is just right there saying, "Hey man, what are you doing?" And what that means is many people think their success can be something that can be communicated through an idea. But it is communicated to a state of being that is aware of the idea. So in a sense, words will never be enough, for they are the individual creation of man. So man has given himself individuality, then he has made even a more individual consideration. But this individual consideration, which is just one word, is holding imagery of the world. And so truth has to be an alignment of an awareness to a true self. And so when we look at a true self, it seems that we weren't the first ones looking at it. So what that means is mystics, back in the day, yogis, they were looking at reality and they were wondering, where is it beyond sensory perception? But in that search, which developed a lot of meditative practice, they were remembering the divinity, and it was experientially changing. So it's like the quality, just like how your physical body is growing, the quality of your moment of experience is also growing, but you are not conscious of it if you think you're just an idea or a certain aspect of your moment, which is the body. What that means is, how can you consider yourself to be an individual body? The biggest question in reality. And you begin to see, when you are aware of the body, there is no question that needs an answer in form. It's as if the question has just brought your attention to an aspect of realness that is unreal. And as you are aware of it, you are diving, and your trust shall take you there, and your sense of intuitive flow is your guidance in that moment. What that means is our moment of experience is growing, and you will see every year you are no longer the same self as you were before, but somehow it all feels the same, no? It's as if you're one person, but every day you're celebrating your birthday, It's as if this being has chosen to create itself as a self-awareness that is in an idea way aware of shape. But when you look at the nature of idea, there is a shapeless existential observance there that you are the most profoundest phenomena that is happening. And what that means is, on some level, this is all internally being experienced in a manner where there is no internal external, but on another manner, the externality is being projected by all that is aware of the external. So your emptiness is intelligence, your absence is your intelligence, and you will begin to see that the temporal relationship and the eternal relationship will flip around. What that means is your individuality in your own conscious experience will be an eternal knowing. You're eternally, existentially observing your temporal sense of formal dissolution, you know? What that means is the individual and the collective don't need the word one. They don't need to think that they are unified. They are, and it is their sincerity and naturalness in just being active. What that means is that moment when someone said "be yourself," you saw that person say it in the movie, in that movie scene, you know, and the kid asked, what does confidence mean? And then someone says, just be yourself, And the kid was, what does that mean? The kid ran along because he was comparing to find the answer. But being yourself means that you end the comparison. There's no longer a race here, whether you choose to be as hardworking as the turtle or as eager and desire-longing as the hare. It is the race is going to stop, for you will want to become aware of the human race in a manner that has not been done before. You will see words are just words, and a poet was dancing with non-existence, for he knew eternity was home. It's a sense of poetic madness, because a lot of my understanding has also become in the ideas that I've been aware of. So what that means is just how I've paid attention to an idea comes into my awareness is a unique set of information. What that means is your existential, it's as if in a very playful way, your existential sensitivity has zoomed in, and as it has zoomed in, suddenly this existential sensitivity is shifting the nature of the information. So what that means is, how you're looking at, for example, that tree in the park, or something, as you're looking at that sense of an objective form, your awareness to the light in your eyes is shifting your experience of your world. And once you just get an innate knowing that the world can change, you will see it's as if the lion knew it can roar. And so you don't need to worry if you're awake. Because the wakefulness is no longer an ideology, it is a wakefulness in experience that was omnisciently here. We want to plant seeds for a future that will not have guilt, for we in the present have lived in such a sincere way. And sincerity is profound in a manner you don't understand. It was the biggest lesson of my life that changed everything around. Sincerity. Because sincerity means no movement is trying to be another movement. You are, through the stillness and silence, aware of the movement. What that means is you stop lying to yourself. You stop having to be a certain something that then has to choose whether it's stressed or not stressed. We are transcendental explorers, for a multidimensional being is playfully the experience of all its dimensions. And you will see, it will become very playful, because as the advanced communicators are beginning to realize themselves, as their awareness to the advancement of consciousness becomes more real, you see, an individual speaking, you will see, will become less significant, rather than how an individual is activated and is living their life in a manner where there is no lack of existential allowance or a need for interpretation. What that means is, some people take garments, for example, so let's just say like Gandhi and many monks, they wear those kind of garments. And some people who really have work tomorrow, who can't, they take the garments of absolute silence and stillness. And this sense of absolute silence is profound, because you will walk and any noise that comes to you is such in your awareness that there is information is being received in more than one way. In your experiencing of life, eternity shall be your self-reflective observance of that which is within your nature. So what is really required is a conscious knowing that if I am in this moment, if I am experiencing this kind of an experience of shape and form, wherever I am, whether I think I'm good or bad, whether I think this is the best situation or the worst situation, I am not who I am. And in being, you are giving a freedom to every sense of self within you that ever wanted to do something, because you have brought it all here. Sincerity is how the prophet remembers that he was the prophet, for he never was the prophet. Do you see? Your sense of idea is leaving, and the transmission, what that means is your presence will become the presence of your most known sense of origin of being here. You know? And I find that's what an original means. A being who will not have words, for his consciousness has become the totality of the awareness of the origin of his awareness. Of the awareness to the origin of all manifestation. What that means is, as long as we're still trying to think of ourselves as consciousness, we are still in the cradle. It is only when we have activated ourselves in our natural view, divinity never needed a you. And it never needed a sense of a certain universe. Trust life, live with an awareness to how every sense of a memory or view or anything that is in space and time is being experienced directly where you are alive. You don't have to go to the Himalayas to receive some kind of teaching. It is just an awareness to your life, and you will see the more you do it, the more your intuition will carry you. You will see you no longer don't have to make a pros and cons list about how you want to help yourself in the bookstore, but rather to be clarified through an untouchable clarity. For you are who you are, regardless of the need of tranquility. I would like to share some mantras and some sounds for the pilot's calling. For the pilot's calling. Much blessings and namaste.